So Trump reinstates this Confederate statue in Judiciary Square in D.C., right? And these ultra-leftists, they got their panties in a wad again. Oh, I love that phrase, panties in a wad. Because you can just picture these people getting all upset, having their panties in a wad, trying to undo their panties, trying to, because they're all mangled and stuff, tied up. I can just picture that. Oh my God, it's a Confederate statue. Let me fix my panties here. We'll just make this a video about panties, okay? At any rate, so this is an article over at the AP for you talking about this. So Trump reinstates the statue, and now it's becoming a political flashpoint, according to the AP. So it says here, and by the way, welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy here. It's Wednesday night. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Now, if you're new to the channel, and I have to say this at the beginning of every video, because you never know who's clicking on your video for the first time. I don't want you, walking away because you just see a still shot. So that's part of the charm of this channel. No fancy graphics. I don't come on here and go, look at me, look at how shredded I am. You see a lot of those videos here on YouTube. You see people, this is funny, you see videos, just aside here, of people analyzing these videos. Well, he's got 10% body fat, but he still looks good. How about just working out 5 times a week and eating normal, for God's sake? So at any rate, thank you for letting me rant. Getting to the topic at hand here, this Albert Pike statue. So the statue has returned to Judiciary Square, a downtown complex that includes an array of federal and municipal courthouses and the D.C. police headquarters. Conservatives have seized on the monument's removal as an example of destructive excess and vandalism by protesters during the summer of 2020. And who the hell gave these protesters the authority, the right to go around and start toppling monuments? Setting them on fire, turning over police cars? Who are they? Some right-wing activists, though, praised the statue's restoration following Trump's order. But critics of the monument argue that the public placement of Pike's statue endorses his views and actions rather than simply commemorates them. So yes, Albert Pike was a controversial figure. He was like an oceanographer, I believe. He served as a brigadier general in the Confederate Army. But how many people know? Because a lot of people are saying he was racist. How many people know that he defended Native Americans? Helped them with all these treaties, especially in the South. And there was this promise in the South that they fight for the Confederacy, pardon me, getting tongue-tied here, that they were promised to help them keep their land from the federal government. And that there was an incident, I forget which one it is, but there was an incident where his men were accused, or some of these Native Americans that served with him, I believe in the Confederate Army, were accused of scalping soldiers. Well, it turns out it was just one guy who did it, and Albert Pike was really distraught over this because he loved Native Americans. He befriended Native Americans, unlike Leland Stanford, who extended the Bald Hills War. Never heard of the Bald Hills War? Well, it happened in California, Northern California. I lived there, I know. And Leland Stanford, why isn't anybody calling for Leland Stanford's statue or for Stanford University to be taken down or torn down? Leland Stanford, again, mentioned that in a previous video, Leland Stanford called the Asians an inferior race. This is in 1862 at the start of the Civil War. So yes, Albert Pike was controversial. Yes, he was pro-slavery. There's accusations that he was part of the Klan, but in reality he was part of the Masons. And that's why his statue is in D.C. And the Masons said, you can have the statue in D.C. as long as he's wearing civilian clothing. They reached that compromise. They said, okay, we want this statue in D.C., Judiciary Square, what have you. We'll reach a compromise. Put the statue up as long as he's wearing civilian clothing. But still, when it was put up in 1901, there was a controversy surrounding it. Do people have anything better to do with their time? Seriously. So getting back to the article, Eleanor, I'm having fun tonight. Eleanor Holmes Norton, the city's long non-voting, don't you love the name of some of these politicians? Eleanor Holmes Norton, the city's lone non-voting elected official in Congress. She's the lone non-voting elected official in Congress. Again, I'm getting tongue-tied. Called the statue's restoration, quote, a morally objectionable move. In a statement this week, she has proposed legislation in Congress that would permanently remove the memorial. Well, seeing that slavery was a world problem, why don't we start demanding that the, pyramids be taken down in Egypt? Or here's an idea, why don't you just get rid of all African symbols, because nations in Africa, slavery still exists in the Sudan today. African nations played a huge role in the slave trade. They profited from it. It was part of their social hierarchy, as it was in ancient Rome, ancient Greece, Egypt, Persia, you name it. So why don't we just start, because of slavery, let's just take all of these symbols down. Everything's got to go. Everything's got to go. Tear it all down. And how many people know that the Confederate battle flag, one of the reasons that design was chosen, not because of the Christian element to it, St. Andrew's Cross. Some people debate that, but you had a Scotch-Irish population in the South in the 1850s, 1860s. But one of the reasons they chose the design for the Confederate battle flag is because you had Confederate soldiers who were Jewish that complained about the original design, and they let their, superiors know about it. And so, because there was a large Jewish population in the South at that time, they changed the design of the flag. That's why we have the design of the Confederate battle flag. But I digress. Now, Trump criticized the statue's removal in 2020, this Albert Pike statue, following its removal by protesters, calling it a beautiful piece of art. And it is a beautiful statue, unlike Carol Walker's unmanned drone, where she took the Stonewall Jackson statue and just tore it to pieces and then reassembled it. Looked like something a third grader would create. Give a third grader a blowtorch and power tools, and unmanned drone is what you come up with. Carol Walker. The removal of memorials to Confederate figures was a key goal of the wave of activism that followed the 2015 killing of 9 black church parishioners by a white supremacist gunman who idolized Confederate symbols. He idolized Confederate symbols. Dylan Roof, this mentally unstable idiot who probably had some mental problems that weren't being addressed at the time. Guaranteed. And in that famous or infamous picture of him holding the Confederate battle flag, wasn't he wearing like a Nazi symbol or something? Wasn't he wearing all this weird stuff in that photo? So it wasn't just the Confederate battle flag? And he probably doesn't even know the history of the Confederate battle flag, or that its root is the Bonnie Blue flag. But you see, they want you to believe that these Confederate statues are what are causing these incidents. Well, no, it's people who cause these incidents, who choose to pick up a gun and go into a church and shoot 9 people. Were there any reports out there that Dylan Roof was standing in front of a Confederate statue, and all of a sudden, the voice of the Confederate statue spoke to him and said, Dylan Roof, you shall go into that church and you shall kill 9 black African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina. So saith the Confederacy. Never happened. Never happened. More than 480 symbols and statues were removed nationwide since then, according to the Alabama-based Southern Poverty Law Center. Whose heritage is the question, or this campaign that they have? Well, what about all the black people in the South who may have owned slaves, worked for yeoman farmers? What about them? What about their history? What about all these plantations that they helped build? Now, some of these may have been built by slaves, but how about all these people who built these plantations? How about the skill that went into creating those plantations? You see, there was a lot more leadway than people believe when it came to slavery in the South. I'm not defending slavery here, but there was a little more leadway. In fact, I was researching, I didn't know what video to do tonight, but I found a very interesting statistic. This really puts things in perspective. Did you know that between 1850 and 1860, the poverty rate, or the paupers rate as they call it, in the South rose from 5.8% to 10.2%? And you know why? Because I think they were having a depression at the time or recession, and you had a lot of immigrants coming in, you had a lot of urbanization. So because the markets were unsturdy at the time, a lot of people were unemployed. And the South couldn't help people who were already on assistance because they didn't have enough money. They didn't have enough money to provide for these incoming immigrants. You had a lot of immigrants, who did immigrate to the South. And the average size home, and I mentioned this before, of somebody, let's say a poor white family or immigrant living in the South in 1860, the average size home for that family that wasn't rich now was about the size of a slave's quarters. 100% true. You can go find pictures of this online if you want. But after the 2020 murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer, which sparked nationwide reckoning on racial injustices, the Southern Poverty Law Center recorded more than 160 removals of Confederate symbols in that year alone. And again, who gave these people permission, or these people on the city council, you name it, permission to go in the middle of the night and take these statues down, topple these statues down? Isn't that what Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and Castro did? That's exactly what they did. They tore down statues, they burned books, they purged their society of all the unwanted, all the undesirables, to make a new society. So be very careful when you throw around words like social justice, all you ultra-leftists. And I'm an independent voter, so I'm kind of neutral on Trump. I think politicians are full of crap, Republicans and Democrats, that's my personal view. But if you're going to go after one, then why not go after all? Seriously. So if you're going to go after Albert Pike, then you should go after Leland Stanford. Go after Leland Stanford, then you should take down the pyramids in Egypt, take down all African symbols, you name it. That would be fair, right? So tell me what you think in the comments section below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can follow me at Instagram, hashtag Jason Composes, because I write music in my spare time. Go to X, Culture Confederacy, at Culture Confed1 on X. Now you can find me at Substack. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless. Keep up the culture. I'll catch you next time, and y'all have a great Wednesday night. Take care.